I am with MTV Management. We are here based in Oklahoma City. So we service clients all throughout the Oklahoma area. We travel, um, and a bulk of our clients actually come from DRS. But we offer job coaching services. I am an employment specialist and also work as an office manager for the owner of the business. And yeah, we make a difference in our clients' lives as well as the employers by connecting the two seamlessly.
Has someone done for you that made a positive impact in your life?
So, something that someone has done for me that really made a positive impact in my life was they acknowledged the gifts and the talents that I brought to the company. And I'm speaking from an employment standpoint because I've worked in many different fields. And one thing that really stood out to me was when my supervisor took the time out to pay attention to things about me that just stood out and shined naturally from my personality and just how well I connected with the customers. And it was just like always taking that time out to just let me know, hey, you are doing a fantastic job. Like this is your thing. This is definitely you're in the right area. Just giving me that good feedback. And so just receiving that allowed me to, it fueled me to keep going and to keep doing a good job because someone acknowledged it, especially and not just anyone. It was my superior, like someone I reported to. And so that really made a big impact on me as I moved forward in my career. And I realized that that really mattered to get that feedback, positive reinforcement, which is something that we use a lot in our job coaching services.
As an employer who advocate for people with disabilities of color, what are some things you would like to have done but were not able to do for the client? It could be in availability, transportation, or accessibility.
Um, I would say that if I had to, it would be really just really being able to showcase, to the employer, like if I was, presenting the client to an employer and I knew that client was, really well fit for the job. Um, and we speak up for them, we share their talents and everything, but it would really mostly be just not truly being able to present them in a way that employer was able to see all of the benefits that client brought because of the fact that maybe that client is on SSI and they can only work 20 hours. But let's say they have all the experience that would really, bring a lot of value to that business. But if they couldn't work the hours, that employer unfortunately, wouldn't hire them because they needed someone full time or they needed someone who did have transportation, because we run into that a lot too, where they may not have transportation and have to use public transportation. And so that limits their hours of availability because it has to be during the time that public transportation runs. And so it's been a thing where we just really weren't able to present all of the true, values and characters of that client and how they would have helped that business had those not been factors that, you know, unfortunately made that client not meet the employer's needs.
Have you ever witnessed discrimination against a person with a disability in the workforce? But this is like do not include like personal information or their employer's name. But have you ever experienced that? And could you explain?
Unfortunately, yes, we have it. I've experienced it. I did have a client, which actually it happened this month in September. The client actually has a prosthetic leg and worked in a warehouse, ship and receiving department. And I believe because the client's resume just amazing, A1, all kinds of skills, just brought all different types of value to that company. And so the client interviewed with the company, they hired the client. And then I do believe that as time progressed, like probably after about 2 months into it, and, even though they agreed to accommodations of giving that client a break, I do believe as time went on, they, as in the employer, started to look at the situation as though it probably wasn't a good decision to hire that client after all, for the sake of possibly being a liability, because again, that client had a prosthetic leg. And so the client started to complain of being in pain. And then, the client was expected to carry heavy equipment, although that client did sign up and say that, um, that could do the job and everything. But after a while, it was just like within a 2-week time frame, I did notice just a lot of, you know, writing. The client ended up getting like literally written up within 2 weeks. I had never seen anything like that before. It was just like constant, just finding something wrong to write the client up for. And so we even tried to intervene and have a team meeting. And then the employer, didn't want to really go into further details, stating that we were a third party and that they were not going to release any information to us, even though the client signed a release. And it was just like nonstop. And then before I knew it, like literally all within a 2-week time frame, the client ended up getting terminated.
As a self advocate, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm Samantha. That's something that I tend to do for myself, is that I do get discriminated against a lot, especially for being a type 1 diabetic. People assume a lot of things about me. But it's just about educating them. And even if they don't want to be educated, I still try my best to at least stand up for myself when it's like, yeah, that's not how it actually is for me. That's not like what's true. And if I am discriminated against, which a lot of times doesn't work, but I really do try my best to just like, yeah, advocate for myself.
What has someone done for you that has made a positive impact on your life?
It's hard to find real people and real friends that like are okay with dealing with like even mental disabilities. But for example, like my friend Hassani, my friend Gabby, like they're two examples that have really helped me like realize that it's not unattractive. It's like I'm still a person, and it's something that I should accept as well to also help take care of myself. Hassani especially has always been there for me, even through like mental breakdowns or anything like that. Like he's like a genuine, real person. He's made like a good impact on my life, like so much to the point where I think of him as like an older brother. He's really cool.
As a person with a disability of color, what are some things that you would like to do, that you're not able to do due to the availability, transportation, or accessibility?
One of the things that I think first comes to mind, honestly, I don't know if this qualifies, but like ballet, like point. I've always wanted to do point when I was little, but ever since becoming diabetic, it's really hard to take care of my blood sugar sometimes, or my body, especially since only recently I started to accept the fact that I had diabetes. So one of the main problems is my feet and the nerves in my feet. So point is like a really difficult sport. You have to have good leg strength, good ankle strength, especially, and it damages like your feet a lot sometimes as well. So that's like a difficult problem. Or like, let's say also camping. I don't really mind camping. I don't really want to do it. But for example, I need to keep my insulin like refrigerated, and there's like things that I would need accessible to me, like in case of something like a hospital. And if you're out in like the middle of the woods, there's not really a hospital around you. So you're kind of in a difficult spot or situation for that.
Have you ever been discriminated against or treated differently for your race and disability, or race and disability? And could you give as an example of that?
Yes, there have been a lot of times. Even like during my middle school days, which I could use that as an example, it was more for like my color, I guess, since I'm Hispanic and I don't speak Spanish, even though I understand the language. Some kids who did speak Spanish, who was also Hispanic, would come up to me and say words in Spanish and be like, "Do you understand that?" Or another example is in middle school, uh, someone pushed my friend really aggressively when we were going inside, which caused me to crash into a fence and it broke my pump. And so when we told the school about it and we wanted to know who did it, they did basically nothing to help us find out like who was responsible for breaking my pump.
Thank you, Sam. Your stories, I hope that these stories get out and they inspire other people to be self advocates, stand up for what is right, and stand up for what they believe in. Thank you very much.